So there was a comment, on the channel which spoke of, can only your true twin flame cause a spiritual awakening and nothing else causes a spiritual awakening. So let's get into this. This is a very important question. First of all, to understand what is a spiritual awakening, and to also understand that, is the twin flame journey the only way through which you will get awakened? Absolutely not, because awakenings have been happening, since the times of Shiva. Shiva is said to be the first one who awakened, and that was 15,000 years ago. So, just simply speaking, a spiritual awakening happens to many people, especially if you see in the context of India. India has still got the concept of brahmacharis. Brahmacharis are people who leave their normal life, they live lives as celibates, as people who are not interested in making money. They go around living a life where they completely reject the illusory nature of life. Has that happened to them because they met their twin? No. This is why the twin flame awakening is different, where the physical and the spiritual are reconciled together, and yet at the same time you live in the physical world with a spiritual consciousness. But a spiritual awakening is just simply a process wherein you have now started to realize that the world in which you exist, the world of, your family, your friends, your job, your career, society, status, social media, what you see around you is not real. It's temporary, it's an ephemeral, existence for you, and that you are somebody more than this. Now, what can cause a spiritual awakening? Suffering causes spiritual awakening the most. So this is what Ramana Maharishi said, a great enlightened sage of India, of the last century. He lived in the southern part of India, and there are so many texts that he has written, and you can read the English translations of them. You can just generally see his images, or whatever you find online, you must try to see Ramana Maharishi and what he espoused, and because that is, the kind of messages he gave were the messages that came from the path of Jnana Yoga, a part of yoga where inquiry is said to be the most supreme form of, realization, self realization. To say that spiritual awakening only happens through twin flames is to say that twin flame journey is the only way in which God can be realized. No, there are so many ways. In fact, Sadhguru goes on to say that, Shiva himself, the Adi Yogi, when he was giving his first teaching to the seven, rishis, the Sapta rishis as they are called in India, the seven sages that wanted to have his teaching and all of that, the message that he gave is that there are 112 ways to ascend. Okay, so twin flame journey is just one of the ways in which you're ascending. There are many other ways. So coming back to what Ramana Maharishi said, that suffering, the cause of suffering is so that you may awaken. You may start seeing that what is really suffering is just your body. What is really going through pain is just your body, and you are more than the body. Why I asked you to even look at the image of Ramana Maharishi, because in my experience in the last so many years, every time I have looked at his image, I have seen him as completely distinct from his body. And I hope that maybe many of you have the same experience or some other experience, for which you have the perception for. Your perception could be way greater and way more profound. I mean, who knows, it's so individualistic, right? There's no comparison. Simply speaking, like that, it's very important to understand that suffering, when the body is suffering, some people are suffering in their lives, they go through, spiritual awakenings. People become curious about God. Why does one turn to God? Because life itself has not been kind. If you have a very beautiful hunky dory existence, where you perfectly loved by your parents, where you just enjoy, normal life as you're going about normal life. You enjoy money, success, marriages, relationships, sex, food, travel, and all of that, and this is it to you. This is all there is for you, then you will not question and ask about God. You will not bother about going to temples or churches or mosques or wonder about why am I here, right? Most people are living this life today like that because their souls have not chosen to awaken in this life. And it is also to say that in many lives prior to this one, you would have also lived like this. You would have also been very, Epicurean in your existence, just like, eat, drink, and be merry, and that would have been it for you, right? But now in this life, your soul has chosen to fully awaken, okay? This can happen through many, many ways. One thing, like I mentioned, suffering of any kind. If you have had some people go through very painful, childhood or something else, and then they just understand that what is the truth. It's very natural to ask, what is the truth of my existence, because this is not the truth. What everybody seems to be saying is the right way to be. I'm not happy in this. I'm not contented, in this way of being. Some other people, if they come across an enlightened being, they immediately, it stirs something in their soul. They long for what the enlightened being already knows. And that causes them to leave everything and, start walking the path of yoga, of spirituality, of spiritual consciousness, of leaving and releasing their limitations through the path that the guru puts them on. Okay, the enlightened being who comes as a guru, he can put them on that path. Okay. Now, some people can become very devoted. For instance, you may not have even met an enlightened being, but you are very devoted. There are stories like that in India, actually. There are stories like that which are not very popular in India today, but in southern parts of India, there were these saints in Tamil Nadu called Nayanars, who were these Shiva devotees. And the stories of 9 hours, you have to hear them to believe them. They are incredible. They're incredibly beautiful, powerful stories of devotion, of what devotion can do, how devotion can dissolve a human being completely. It's beautiful. Like, it leads to this dissolution of self, which is what this journey also is about, by the way. Your twin flame journey is not just a romantic journey. The romance is very well a byproduct of what you're experiencing. You are experiencing God realization, at the end of the day. Okay? So I always speak of this, and this is the main crux of what I actually want to speak about. But it is important to speak about many other issues that one faces on the journey, and many other aspects that one goes through, to make sense and to realign yourself with what is really important. This is why we don't go into blaming the twin, or not taking self responsibility and stuff like that. That is not the kind of stuff that I would want to speak about, or that is true. So why should we speak of it? So simply speaking, this aspect, that a spiritual awakening can happen just through devotion. Maybe when some people are very small and they see an image of Jesus Christ, or they see an image of Krishna, and they just become devotees. It's common in India. Like, if you become a devotee of Krishna, or you become a devotee of Rama, or you become a Shiva devotee for no reason. And if you allow, if your perception is not clouded, and you are allowing the divine to penetrate you, then that is the only path. That is the path of bhakti yoga. That is the path of yoga, which basically, yoga is not the physical stretches that we do. Yoga, like Sadhguru explains, is a path. It's union. It's union with God. It's union of the two polarities within you. It's union back with where you came from. Okay, it's a very misinterpreted term today within India, and definitely in the West. So understanding this is very important. Understanding this is, it's key, that that devotion itself can lead to God realization as well. So that is a spiritual awakening as well. Knowing that there is nobody but God, that is a beautiful spiritual awakening. Now, some people in the modern day will have bad relationships, will have a false twin flame or a karmic, who will really, really just trigger the hell out of them, will suddenly bring up memories from childhood. Like I always explain, this is what happened to me, that my first awakening happened through a false twin flame when I was very young. And it just so happened that, it was a very brief relationship, and the moment it ended, there was cheating, betrayal, the works. And what I experienced after that was ego death, because I used to be very ambitious, very out there, very masculinized in my way of, being ambitious. Like I just used to be like somebody who wanted to conquer the world. And immediately I went through an ego death after a very brief relationship. It won't even be called a relationship. But that ego death led to me re-experiencing and remembering everything from my childhood that I had forgotten about. The pain of, my childhood, and specifically with how I was raised, the experiences I had with my parents. Everything just started to come to the surface, what I had shoved down, and I had not really understood as a child to heal and to understand at the time. So when that entire pain resurfaced after this, and I went through an ego death, and everything about me changed. I became spiritual. I started seeking answers in spiritual texts, that who am I? Why have I come here? What was the point of this? This is when I started researching and learning about various concepts. And then another awakening happened, when I met my guru, and which also happened when I was very desperately, seeking answers to life. And it used to make me very anxious as to not knowing what am I doing on earth? What is the point of this? And then other forms started to happen to break my ego, and this was a very, very painful process for me. For many years I just remember only crying and only being depressed and only being sad and only being in very bad situations, in terms of relationships, friendships, everything just sort of being about betrayal and nothing else. Only God made sense to me, only my guru made sense to me, nothing else made any sense to me. Even if I tried, to make anything else work for me, whether to find my happiness in a job or a relationship or a friendship or elsewhere, it would just not work. That is a spiritual awakening. What else is it? It's just trying to tell you that, what, stop looking for things here and there. These are just distractions for you. You are just getting distracted, and you're trying to find that band-aid, to cover that wound that you're experiencing. But feel the pain of the wound and transcend the wound rather than hiding away. Like as Rumi says, that a wound is where the light enters. That's the opportunity that I should have taken, but it became very painful for me when I started to not pay any attention to that, and it was all about going back to God, all about going back to the basics of who am I and why have I come here. And it is at this point of time, and yet still being in my very old patterns, that I met my twin, which fast tracked the awakening, like anything. The awakening that had started many years before that, the awakening that had a push also, in the right direction, in the direction of divinity, in the direction of God. And then meeting my twin, it really fast tracked everything. The patterns started to go away, everything started to come up for healing. But I was more empowered and more aware, and the only thing that I didn't struggle with too much was to accept the journey. I may have doubted it for a few months, but I didn't go into years and years of doubting whether this is my twin or not, what is a twin flame. Those concepts, just I heard them for the first time, but they made a lot of sense, and many things started to happen faster, because the pain and the ego death and everything had already been happening for several years, before I even met my twin. So this was my process, and of course there will be, more and more spiritual awakenings as we go along on this journey. There will be more awakenings. There will be a time when we will become one with divinity. There will be, we don't know what lies ahead, right? And so much else just keeps unfolding. So I would just like to tell you that there are various ways to awaken spiritually. And even if I had not met my twin, I know that in some sense I would have gone on the path of, I was already, to some extent going through that massive ego death and the rise of the feminine energy. And it would have just been a slower process, a very, very slow process, more patterns coming up, more, repetition of the same cycles. So why I'm even sharing this, and generally I don't want to share about my personal journey on YouTube and all of that, but why I just felt like sharing these experiences with you specifically is simply so that you all can understand that awakening can happen through any means, and what the true purpose of this awakening is. The true purpose of an ego death that one goes through, whether through the twin flame or through any other experience, is just so that you realize you were not that ego. You're not that part of you that even gets wounded. When you're doing deep subconscious work, you can just observe the subconscious mind. When you're observing the subconscious mind, you're understanding you're not that, because you're observing it. You're the observer. It's very simple, very important to do this kind of work with a sense of detachment from that ego, which is, even when we do inner child work, we do anything, we realize that we are allowing the feelings to come up. Yes, when we were children, we felt bad and everything, and we have to heal ourselves, love ourselves, and release those past impressions, because those impressions are holding us back. They're holding the energy from flowing. They're blocking the energy channels, right? And they are causing repeat cycles to keep happening in our lives. We are attracting the same events again and again because we're not able to release, what the impressions are. But we have to understand, why are we doing this work? Why are we doing this work? So that we can come into alignment with who we are. We can come into a state of surrender. We can finally just be like, we are not held by anything, too tightly. This is something that I don't know if many people are able to understand or speak of. But this is very deep. This is the way the awakening is happening right now for twin flames. And this is why your twin is triggering all of these impressions in you as well, because these impressions are holding you back, that I am less, that I am unworthy, that I am like this and I am like that, and I don't deserve love, or I always have betrayal, people always misuse me, this always happens, I'm never important, I don't have any value. All of those impressions are holding back your energy flow. This is why your twin is triggering this. This is why in your journey is not that of brahmacharya, where you're leaving everything behind and you're like, I don't want to be in this world. And that is also a very sacred way of going through the disillusionment process. But your journey is not that. Your journey has many similarities with that path of asceticism, in the sense of maintaining a certain purity in your body. For sure, if your kundalini is awakened, you should maintain absolute purity in your body. And I would make a separate podcast on this. It will be very triggering, especially because of our conditioned minds. But I will have to speak of it. There is no other way to do it. But largely speaking, your path is about, in today's world, in today's context, you can't act like somebody who was acting, was in a way which was relevant 2000 years ago. You have to act in this day and age. You have to use the internet. You have to spread your message in a certain way. Many of you will be people who will show other people what to do through your healing work, right? Many of you will help families around you, will help the community around you, right? I never in my life expected I will ever make podcasts like this and do this. I never thought that way. There was so much self-doubt that I have always felt about advising people or helping people or sharing my experiences, or understanding other people's experiences, or even trusting the wisdom that I have, that I share with you all today. There used to be so much self-doubt around it, because I never thought I would ever be able to do this, or this was not supposed to be what I was, conditioned into doing, right? But this is just the way that even you will release your conditioning and start doing things, that that will have come from your life experiences, the things that you're good at, whether creating art or writing something or sharing, something with other people, which will be inspiring, which will help people, which will give people clarity, because you have gone through that. Why I am able to speak of this? Because I am experiencing everything, because I have experienced, what I speak of, right? I'm not trying to read from somewhere and copy paste that and, speak of that. No, right? So this is exactly what even you are going to experience, and you're already experiencing in your own lives. So largely speaking, this is a spiritual awakening. To know who you are is not limited to your body, the identities that you receive from your family, the conditioning you receive from society. You're much larger than that. There are many ways to spiritually awaken. In this time and day and age, many twin flames are awakening through meeting their twin flames. Whether you have already been a spiritual person, then it will lead to a fast track of your spiritual process. Or if you have never been spiritual, then this will be a difficult time for you, because that ego death will happen. And like I mentioned, I spent years crying and, going through that ego death. It's perfectly okay. Maybe it will take you longer to go through that ego death, to lose that conditioning of the society, and that's perfectly natural and perfectly normal. Alright, different people have different ways. Their souls know, what to put them through. The soul has a purpose of its own. So the soul knows that, okay, at this age, I know that this person is going to be that mature to be able to do this for that. At this age, let them have this experience. Okay, what is going to be their purpose? How many people will they influence? What are their talents? What are their skill sets? Based on that, your experiences will start happening. Allow those experiences. Don't try to compare your journey with anybody else's. I've already made a podcast on this that you must absolutely see. It's about why every twin flame journey is different. It's a very deep podcast, but you should listen to that. Understanding that there is no point in comparing your awakening to somebody else's. Whether you awakened through your twin, you awakened through a spiritual guru, you awakened through a false twin flame, you awakened through immense suffering that you went through in your life, okay? It's perfectly okay. The point is that you're awakening, right? The point is now, what next? How can you start doing your healing work? Be in conscious awareness, be the best that you can be. And it is not an easy journey of awakening. It is a very painful process because the old is dying. You will not have comfort in your family anymore, in your friends anymore. You will not align with people around you anymore. That's just the way it is. But you will find some people that you might align with. Like, you may listen to me, or there'll be some other people that you will listen to, and you will find alignment there. Your spirit guides will are in perfect alignment with you. They love you so much that it's unreal, how much they help you and how responsive they are to you all the time. So let other dimensions, give you the love that you need. Let God give you the love that you need. It's incredible how much God really loves us and how closed off we stay to God. In whatever way or form is your relationship with God, whether it's with Allah, it's with Jesus, it's with Devi, it's with Shiva, it's with Rama, it's with anyone, anyone that you believe in. You could just look at the sun as God, you could look at the moon as a goddess. It does not matter. That relationship itself is so pure and loving, and it wants you to connect with it. God wants you to connect with God. So this is what this journey is. Even your twin flame's higher self is very loving and very, very, very caring. So is your higher self, which is a multidimensional being. You're just a part of your higher self having this experience here on earth. So now, to spiritual death, or the death of your ego and spiritual awakening, basically is realizing who you truly are, that you're not this confined form of the body, and everything that keeps you identified with this confined form of the body or tries to reinforce this confined form, for you, and tries to tell you that this is who you are, that fulfill these karmic, obligations for the rest of your life, or all of that, this is what you break out of. This is what you suddenly start making sense of. Not in an aggressive way, but in a natural way, in a wise way, in a mature way. Kundalini itself has so much of wisdom. That is why it is flowing from the base to the top. It's not directly just flowing from one chakra and skipping 3, 4 and then going to the next. That will be atrocious for you, right? So this is exactly what is really happening for you. Trust this wisdom. Know that spiritual awakenings can happen. They've been happening forever. Just this time it's happening through twin flames for many people. Many twin flames will come into awakening in the future as well, because it is necessary. Look at the state of the society otherwise. Aren't we at the lowest low in the society? What are we doing? Isn't society really terrible? There is no happiness. There are just conditional relationships, right? There is bad parenting happening everywhere. There is very bad work pressure. There is a hyper capitalistic way of behaving. There is an exploitation happening in the name of work. I don't know how many of you have experienced this. When you awaken, you start saying that work was always exploitative because it never was about you. It was serving, some other purpose always, right? Academia is also, this way. There is so much of a war going on between the left and the right politically everywhere in the world. Now we see that in the conflict that is happening in the world as well. People are picking extreme sides. There is so much of, a dilution of truth in everything. It's that the loudest voice, or the voice which is more powerful, is it's literally like that is the voice that is important. And there is so much polarization happening. So what are twin flames doing? What are they doing? They are healing this polarization. Your intent is not to be polarized from your divine masculine. Your intent is to balance and harmonize your energy with your divine masculine. So you are somewhere going to be this anti-force to polarization, the opposite of polarization. You're going to be a polarity uniting force. That is why the twin flame awakenings are happening. So allow it to happen. Allow the deeper wisdom to happen. You don't have to worry about it. It's not that you're carrying the burden of this, on your shoulders. The divine is doing everything. Let it happen. Okay, whenever you need any help or support, ask God to show you what the way out is. This is what I think is the highest way or form, because that is the way um, only right things are done. The things that will not cause any harm to anybody, they lead your life. Okay. And if you really are very serious about your twin flame journey and you want to ascend faster, you want to learn how to release, what is holding you back on your journey, and you don't want to sort of, just go with the flow where it may take 6 years, 7 years, 10 years, or many, many years for you to even have contact or to, ascend faster on the journey. If your Kundalini has already been awakened, you're experiencing, those signs. Um, and you really want to fast track your journey, then you must absolutely book a one-on-one session with me. And I'm also offering packages. You can choose to work regularly with me as well at a discounted rate to really make progress. This is very deep inner work that I help you with. And secondly, it is actually just focused on fast tracking your journey. It is really focused on fast tracking your ascension, in understanding deeply what is, blocking your journey, what is blocking your ascension, and just directly working on it. Okay. And you can email me to inquire about, this is going to start very soon, where I will be also offering some group classes where maybe, we can be a small, very small group of a few people working and meeting every week and doing some deep inner healing work. Okay. So this is the second option. And I would really like to tell you that a very incredible opportunity is on the 17th of December at 7:30 p.m. IST, which is a workshop on inner child healing. It will be a very unique workshop. We will go very, very deep to heal your inner child, to heal your relationship with your parents, as well as we will do some practices and exercises that you take forward with you, that you also, enjoy in during the workshop, to heal your inner child. Okay. And when you sign up, you will receive a powerful subliminal track to listen to after the workshop. So basically, you can just play it, during the day or when you sleep, and it will be coded with very powerful affirmations to heal your inner child wounds at all the seven chakra levels, and also will be coded with solfeggio frequencies that help you go deeper, that put you in a relaxed state, and theta waves that make your mind very receptive to these coded affirmations. Okay. So this is all you get, when you sign up for this inner child workshop. The details of this inner child workshop are on the community page. I've just posted like a few days back about what this costs, etc. It's going to be on Zoom. It's actually affordable. It's really affordable. It's just INR 4,300, and if you're paying in USD, it is 57 USD, and it's 52 euros. And if you're paying in pounds, it's 45 pounds. This is the collective price for both, the workshop as well as the subliminal track. And it's going to be a very unique workshop. I'm going to use some really modern, psychological tools as well here that are very new age, that have helped me a lot personally in my journey as well. So definitely consider signing up. It's an incredible opportunity. I don't know if I will be doing a repeat of this anytime soon. And once I've actually already conducted this workshop for a different group of people, and I'm going to share the reviews that I received, from that workshop on the community page. So do check that out as well. Okay. And you can email me to book a spot for this workshop, or to book a one-on-one session, or to inquire about the group sessions that are going to start later this month, as well as to inquire about discounted packages if you want to, work more regularly with me to really fast track your ascension process. So have a beautiful, wonderful day. I hope this helped you. Bye.